So if you get a group of older game developers together, the conversation will invariably turn to whose body is hurt, how are you hurt, how are you managing that hurt. So let's have an honest talk about what this line of work can do to you, what it's done to me, and how I work around it. Now I'm talking about RSI, repetitive stress injury, I think is what it's called, or repetitive strain injury, something like that. But basically it's exactly what it sounds like. A repetitive action repeated over and over again for years on end. You do that enough times and your body will eventually start to hit back. This is related to carpal tunnel syndrome, but I don't suffer from that luckily, so I can't really speak to it. So my pain derives from the progression of muscle exhaustion that comes from a couple of decades of using a computer mouse. It kind of starts in the hand. There's a bit of a weird numbing sensation followed by pins and needles. Like it kind of feels like the hand's waking up from being asleep, even though it was never asleep. And this is followed by pain shortly afterwards, pain in the wrist, which migrates to the forearm, to the elbow, to the upper arm, to the shoulder, to the neck, to the back. It's a whole chain of pain that progresses upwards. So I used to get a therapeutic massage, once a week for the situation to try to alleviate the problem. And my masseuse explained what's going on. She said roughly that when the muscles, say in your hand, get overworked and they get to the point where they don't want to do any more work, the muscles around them will step up and take on some of the load. And then when those muscles get tired, the muscles around them step up and take on some of the load. And that's where you get that chain that runs up your arm, into your neck, into your back. And eventually when the entire chain is tired out and doesn't want to work anymore, that's when the pain starts to set in, because the body's telling you, hey, stop doing whatever you're doing. It hurts. And if this goes on long enough and you do nothing about it, you will eventually end up in a situation where even looking at a computer mouse can make you recoil a little bit, just in the anticipation of the pain it's going to cause to try to use it. So what does this have to do with me choosing a stylus over a mouse? Well, I tried a lot of different things to deal with my pain, from splints to gel pads to massages to posture correction devices. None of it seemed to work, so I tried something radical. So I knew that I could control certain applications using my stylus, because obviously that's what I did for a living. In Photoshop and Substance Painter and those sorts of applications, work best with the stylus. And so I thought, well, wait a second now. If I can do that in certain applications, why can't I just do that all the time? Windows, File Explorer, the whole shot. So holding a pen is a very different hand position from holding a mouse. Plus I can rest the art tablet kind of on my lap if I want to and have a very, very relaxed posture while I'm working. This should work. And the good news is, it does. Now I won't lie, this is not a transition that will happen overnight. If you do decide to try it. It took me several weeks to really get fluent with it, and I'm coming off of years and years of using a mouse, so using a stylus for everything takes a whole new set of muscle memory. But I stuck with it, and I will never go back. The muscle memory eventually came, and now this feels so much more natural to me than a mouse. And hey, no pain. So recently, I've even gone so far as to move my mouse to the left side of my keyboard and swap the buttons. I'm serious. My name is Warren Marshall and I am a left-handed mouse user. And again, it's just a matter of muscle memory. You started from zero when you first got into computers and you learned to use a mouse with your right hand, so it stands to reason you should be able to learn to use a mouse with your left hand. Now I won't lie and say I'm as good as I ever was with my right hand, because I'm certainly not, but it gets better every day I do it, and it's going to get better over time. For day-to-day work, I would say I use my stylus for 98% of my clicking and dragging needs, and I only grab the mouse when it's absolutely necessary for whatever reason. My right hand hasn't touched a mouse in months, and guess what? My right arm, neck, and shoulder have been pain-free. It's made a world of difference and has extended my career by years. Now, it's not even just a matter of pain relief, which is a major plus, let's be real. But I also find that for a lot of things, I'm actually more efficient with the stylus. Moving my wrist just a little bit to get to the other side of the screen is a huge benefit that I never considered. No mouse sliding, lifting and resetting and fine-tuning where the pointer landed. If you use the same apps day after day, which we all do, you'll build up memory to where things are, how much of a movement of your hands required to jump from here to the, say in Moto, from here to the item list, to the properties, to the UV window. You just start to intuitively know where to put your hand on the tablet. And now that I'm used to it, I'm actually a faster modeler than I ever was with a mouse. Now, the one thing that is a bit of a bummer is the lack of a mouse wheel. It really comes in handy for certain things, and I've just never found a good equivalent for the Stylus and the Art tablet. Sure, yeah, the tablet has that little ring wheel thing that you can twiddle, but it's nowhere near as tactile as a actual mouse wheel, and I find it just kind of feels clumsy using it. So the solution I've come up with is I just kind of keep my mouse near the keyboard, so when I'm using my hotkeys in an application, I can just kind of hop over and scroll the wheel if I need to. But over time, I'm trying to get out of that habit so I can turn this negative into a non-issue. So it's not all roses, but in the face of all the benefits that we're getting from this workflow, I think it's a worthwhile trade-off. So if you've been on the fence about trying this sort of thing, I highly recommend you just go for it, because what's the worst case scenario? You pick up the mouse again, right? And the best case scenario is that you work with less pain, less discomfort, and have more joy in your workday, because who likes being in pain? So are you a fellow sufferer? What have you tried? What's worked? What hasn't worked? I would love to hear some other alternatives down in the comments if you guys want to talk about this. We're all in this together, and information is power. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.